Hey, this is Chris Park from Arking Games. It's been a while since you guys have seen me. Um, the I want to thank everybody for their patience over the last 90-ish days while I've been essentially on sabbatical. I said I would come back and say what was going on with all of that. I don't have cancer. That's good news. I am going through a divorce. Um, it's something that I was not at all happy about at first, um, and took some time to process. Now I'm definitely happy about it. My ex and I are on good terms, but it is a case of us being puzzle pieces that just don't fit together anymore. Um, but it was I'm 36. It was 18 years of my life that we were together, 14 married, and so that's quite a reality jump. That's all my adult life, um, essentially, and there was a lot for me to learn about being divorced, being a divorced parent. Our son is 8. Um, all the legalities of that, as well as the financial side of that, as well as the logistical side of that. Um, this is a different home than I've been in for the last 7 years. So I've had to move and, um, make a new space that's comfortable for my son and myself. I've got him half the time. Um, that's probably the hardest thing, has been coming to terms with being um, half a dad now. That's not something that I ever had wanted to happen. So certainly making the time count. Um, but yeah, in some ways, I'm happier now than I have been for a lot of years. This isn't really a new development. It is in some regards. It's kind of the breaking point or whatever in October of, yes, we're definitely doing this. This is happening. And no matter how much you, according to some of the things, one of the many things I've read on the subject at this point, the spouse that gets told, um, there's no amount of preparation that makes them ready to hear. It's always a surprise, essentially. So um, it was and wasn't a surprise, as is usually the case. It was a long time in the making, and what needs to happen. And please, nobody demonize my ex, or me, I guess. But if you're gonna demonize somebody, I guess demonize me. Don't demonize anybody. um, I'm not telling you the full story, obviously, of what went on because that's private stuff. I have no privacy filter, but it affects more than me. And, at some point, my son may watch this video, and I'm not going to go around bad mouthing his mom. Not that I have a bunch of bad things to say about her anyway, but um, the as a space nerd, the best analogy I can give at this point is that we were essentially like booster rockets for one another. Um, I wouldn't be where I am now if it hadn't been for her, and vice versa. But the booster rockets burn out at some point, and it's time to drop them into the ocean while the next stage of the rocket keeps going. Um, Maybe we kept the booster rocket on for a while after it burned out, honestly, and that made for some challenging years after some other challenging years. So With that sort of thing in mind, the future looks a lot brighter now than it has for a while for both of us, I think. But it's also very hard, um, particularly with the parenthood side of it. It's also financially difficult. Um, Ducks were finally in a row with AI War 2 being out in early access, and I had breathing room, and that was good. There's never a good time for a divorce. There's never a good time for a baby. Uh, but we need to do all the things that we need to do in our lives anyway. So that's people. We work around the bad timing of everything. And so in this particular case, that's made it so that now instead of one home, we have two. And all the associated expenses that go along with that. And so that's fun. Said no whenever. But it is what it is. And partly this video is to catch you up on what's going on. It's also partly to ask for support. Last time I did that was in 2010 or so, and took a lot of flack for that for a lot of years. But it did make things better. And I think that if you don't ask for help when you need it, yeah, it's a very lonely way to go through things. So I'd rather ask for help and get kind of made fun of than not ask for help. So Badger and Puffin and Quinn have really been holding down the fort for this last quarter, building the game and the factions in there and balancing it and fixing bugs and stuff, while I've been educating myself on what life is going to be like now and going through all the logistics of everything and just generally preparing. And I'm trying to get back into things now. I'm feeling better about it. I was also having trouble because my old office was giving me panic attacks. So being out of there and in a new space is helpful. Ultimately, I think this will be a good thing for myself, my ex, my son, etc. I couldn't tell you guys what was going on back in October or anything like that because we hadn't told our son yet. And if word got back to him the wrong way, boy, what a disaster that would be. That's some permanent scarring there. So we told just some family and some friends. And if you happen to be in one of those categories and you're finding out via this video, I apologize. It's not personal. That there's only so many times I can have this conversation. And yeah, I appreciate all the trust that like the Kickstarter backers and early access customers and everything have put in me, letting me disappear for a while like that and not, running for your pitchforks. With all the companies that are dicking you over these days, I know that must have been pretty tempting to do. But I'm glad that I've been around enough and steady enough for you guys that that I have that trust, and I will do my best not to abuse that. Yeah. I'm not really looking for a bunch of advice or anything, just because there's a whole long saga of this that I'm not sharing, and it's very hard to give advice when you don't know what's going on, really. And just kind of looking for support more so than anything else. And, you know, at the moment, work wise, I'm hoping that I can just get back to work and focus and build out the rest of the game the way that you guys want it to be and the way that we all, are happy with it. And I say the way that you guys want it to be because there's a strong component of this game that's very customizable, right? So, um, what I want plays some role in what the product is going to be, but there's a lot of it. It's like, okay, this GUI is not working for you. Let's work on a new one. Blah 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 blah, and so there's a lot of back and forth that was already starting to happen, before early access and then into the start of early access. And there's going to be a lot more of that coming up. So with that in mind, you guys outnumber me by an insane margin. And I love corresponding with you and reading. And I'm a speed reader and a very fast typist. And so I can get away with it to a certain extent, but also I got to keep a work-life balance like I didn't for a lot of years. I want to be better about that. And on the days where I'm solo dad now, I really have to keep up that balance. But I want to treat myself a little better than I have been for the last, decade or so in general. I've been kind of subsuming myself in work and fatherhood and so forth without much time for me. And that's not really a great thing to do. So, been trying to work on moving away from that some as well. But to do so without sacrificing the quality and the care that you're used to seeing in the Arkin products. So, new adventure for me in terms of how to manage work life a little more steadily, or a little more evenly, I guess is a better word. Keeping it steady but even versus just redlining it and then, yeah. So, if you have a particular skill that you want to kind of donate some of your time or kind of help organize the thoughts of some other people that might have some good ideas that maybe I'm going to miss because there's 10 pages of commentary on some aspect of the GUI and I can't read and process and respond to all that. Community organizers, that sort of thing, that's really helpful because I want to know what you guys are thinking, but I'm so outnumbered by you. Even just the couple thousand of you that actually comment, it's just ridiculously outnumbering me. Yeah, I could use some help in that regard. And then obviously, if you're enjoying the game as it's moving along, spreading the word is a helpful thing. That's word of mouth was a big part of how the first game, went so well and sold the way that it did. And this game's still in early access, so I'm not expecting the moon, but financial stability is one of those things that would, I was chasing that for so long and finally got it and lost it immediately. And it's hard to kind of go back into the trenches of going, okay, things will work out. I'm not real worried about it in a long-term sense, but gosh, I could use some peace of mind. But life is good in the main. Overall, I'm actually pretty happy right now. And my son took the news well. He's still got a lot to process, but it went far better than my ex or I could ever have hoped. And we'd been dreading that for months. And part of why it was such this long period of time was because we didn't want him to associate Christmas with the divorce, and so we wound up having to live in this kind of weird half state for this whole time. Plus, there was just a lot of logistics to figure out. It's a busy process, but there's a lot of things to look forward to in life now that were not in our joint roadmap before. Yeah. Thanks for watching and for all your support over the years, and thanks for caring.